Lions Avenue family, what's going on tonight? We are at the end of Victory Monday. Of course, ain't nothing new. See at the bottom of the screen, our Lions are on an 8-game winning streak, currently sitting at 9-1. Tonight it will be just myself, Ashanti Beasley, my co-host, will not be able to make it. He's actually having a few technical difficulties. But anyway, 56-2. I think a lot of us out there had a feeling that a double-digit victory was pretty much inevitable. Not too many of us actually predicted 50 points, but I think if you look at the run that this team is currently on, for the most part, nothing's really surprising about it. Before we get too deep into the game, though, I do want to touch on a little bit of news from the day. So, currently, Ifeatu Melifonwu listed as questionable. He has been activated and has been listed as questionable moving forward from injury reserve today. Also, the big news, Alex Anzalone, leader, dual linebacker, placed on injured reserve dealing with that forearm injury. Also, Sam Laporta listed as out already, which seems kind of odd. But from yesterday, Allen Robinson, concussion protocol. He's going to be sitting down probably for a second. And then Shane Ziltra, of course, dealing with the neck injury that he suffered late. So, not too much injury-wise. I do think the Shane Zilstra situation could be serious. Also, being down Alex Anzalone, already being down Derek Barnes. That right there could also cause some issues scheme-wise. But for the most part, this is a team that escaped a 52-6 game against an inferior opponent, handled business, did suffer one injury. I know a lot of people were concerned about the starter still being in a little bit late in the game, but at the end of the day, you can't sit everybody. You're not going to sit your offensive line. You're not going to sit your entire secondary. Guys still have to go out there and play. At the end of the day, man, that's just what it is, and guys are going to get hurt. What's going on, Darcy? Darcy got a quick question earlier. Do you think they are stashing him? Nah, nah, nah. I don't think there's really any reason for it. They're on a good winning streak right now. There's really no reason to bring anybody back too early. I did believe that come Thanksgiving, they're going to bring some presents out for us. We may see two guys come out there, probably both D-backs, being Ifeatu Melifonwu as well as what's the name? Manuel Mosley. Manuel Mosley. I know that's a big name right there. That's a guy who hasn't had the best of luck ever since his final year with San Francisco. Came over here, got hurt immediately after being hurt in San Francisco in that Carolina game. So we really don't know what to expect from him. But at the end of the day, if he's healthy, he's an athletic, big, tall corner that can play some press, can play some zone, and he's a hell of a football player when he's actually healthy. But that's been the entire issue with Emmanuel Mosley since San Francisco early on, is him being able to stay healthy. So, but getting into this team, man, like I said, 52-6. No one expected it to be another repeat, basically, of what happened against Tennessee a few weeks ago, but it turned out to be that. This team went out and did exactly what they were supposed to do, which is take care of a team that they were obviously better than. This team went out, Jacksonville, I'm speaking of, they went out, competed against Minnesota the prior week, competed against Philadelphia pretty tough, competed against the Green Bay Packers pretty tough, came up short in all three of those games. Tough, close, highly contested games. What do? We went out there and we disposed of them the way a real solid contender is supposed to. We didn't struggle with them. We made sure we didn't put forth any confidence in their minds that they would have the opportunity to actually win that game in any way whatsoever. And we stepped on them early. We came out in the second half. We stepped on them early in the second half. And that's something I'm also pretty proud of right now, is the fact that it seems to me that the third quarter lulls for the most part this season are over. Now, granted, we've had about 2 or 3 games where we did come out in the third quarter kind of slow, but for the most part, it seems that they've kind of cracked what the issue was. as far as getting out of that third quarter funk, early third quarter funk. Mile marker, what's going on? That'd be great for Turkey Day. MCDC needs his Thanksgiving win. Hell yeah. You know, they killing all of the prior issues this organization had, beating Seattle, beating Dallas, um, winning the games that they typically would lose in the past. That's not happening anymore. Then you factor in the fact that we have Chicago on Thanksgiving. Chicago's reeling right now. We're looking like a complete bust off for them too as well. And like I said, 52-6. That's a heavy score to swallow, man. Heavy score to swallow. If you look at it from Jacksonville's point of view, the defense was on the field way entirely too much. Actually, I'm going to bring up some numbers real quick for that matter. Excuse me, I had to get a quick swig of water. So, went into the game, Lions favorite, minus 13 and a half, over under 47. Lions covered that over under by themselves at the 52. They did cover the spread. You're looking at Jacksonville from their point of view and why they struggled offensively so much. Well, you're talking about 129 yards passing. Not going to win too many games like that in the NFL. 4.8 yards per pass attempt. Everything was under 10 yards for the most part from them. Third downs, they were 2 for 10. That's 20%. They had 2 rushing first downs the entire game. 0 punt returns and 0 tackles for loss. That right there, if you factor in both sides of that, you're talking about a defense that has a ton of talent. They lost a bunch of guys throughout the game, for that matter, especially in the secondary. But the Darbys and the Tyson Campbells can actually play. The Andre Siscos. Then you get into that front seven, the Josh Allens and the Hines and the Trayvon Walkers. They've got talent. The Chad Moomas, the Devin Lloyds. Like, they've got a lot of talent on that defense. The problem is they can't get off the field and catch the breath. You're not going to win too many games in the NFL. 2 minutes, 29 seconds worth of offense. Right now, and actually after yesterday's performance, I believe the Jaguars are now 31st in the league in time of possession. Defense is on the field way entirely too much. And then you factor in that you go into Detroit and you play a team that loves to run the football, loves to play action, loves to get guys out in space, whether it's their speed guys like Jahmyr Gibbs out of the backfield or in the slot, or it's Jameson Williams. Then you got to deal with the sledgehammer and David Montgomery. Horrible matchup. Horrible matchup. You're looking at things from Detroit's side of the view. 7 touchdowns in the first 7 drives. Tremendous. All 7 drives. And I talked to Spirit of Detroit about this yesterday. It was going on, Lamar. All 7 drives under 5 minutes and 47 seconds. That's bananas. That's a very, very efficient offense. That's 5 straight wins now over Jacksonville. Then you're talking about the fourth downs. We were 3 for 3. That's 100%. Of course, you can do the math. Total yards, 645. And you're talking about we had 7 plays of 20-plus yards or more. So, once again, it's another Sunday where everything was cooking for us. We could do no wrong. Now, granted, the Houston game was different. You know, the Houston game, we came out flat. My opinion, we played against a defensive front, even though I do think everyone here understands the importance of having Taylor Decker and the impact not having him last Sunday against the Texans played. But I also believe not Jacksonville, but the Houston Texans had a smallish, more quicker, explosive, athletic defensive line. And I think just from that standpoint, at the line of scrimmage, they were a bad matchup for us early. But we did what we normally do, which is we lean on you for 60 minutes. And eventually, late third quarter, early fourth quarter, they started to wear down. And we got what we wanted, especially mainly to the right side of the line of scrimmage. And everything turned in our favor. What's going on, Darcy? Has a comment. Walter Stringer, with your professional opinion, what do you think will the game versus what do you think of? I'm guessing he's gonna say, what do you think of the game versus the Bills? It's hard to say right now. I want to see what Buffalo looks like coming up after this. Want to see if they're flat. That was a huge win for them against Kansas City yesterday. Even though they've beaten the Chiefs in the regular season, I didn't really make too big of a deal about it because they have had success against the Kansas City Chiefs before in the regular season. Their issue has been getting over that hump against Mahomes and Andy Reid in the playoffs. And right now, if you're looking at the way Buffalo's looking and Kansas City, yesterday was their first loss of the season. So, you can't knock them too much. That offense does have its struggles, but they still play solid defense across the board. Andy Reid is still the best play caller in football, probably. And you're talking about Patrick Mahomes, who is considered the Michael Jordan of his sport. So it's kind of tough, man. Like I said, right now, I want to see what Buffalo looks like coming up. Like I said, I don't know if they're going to come out flat against the next opponent. Have to look at their schedule and what they've got coming up before they even see us in a couple weeks. But hell, we stand just as good a chance of beating them as anybody else. We're scorching hot right now, and nobody's been able to really extinguish what's going on. So, all right, I want to get back to some other things on here. In fact, hold on, bring that back up. I want to get to our schedule a little bit just to point out some things about what type of historical run offensively this team is on. You're talking about the last 8 games, 7 of them. You're talking about this team has scored 50 points twice, and this team has scored 40 points or more twice. 42 against Seattle back in week 4, 47 against Dallas week 6, 52 against Tennessee week 8, and 52 against not Tennessee, but Jacksonville yesterday. This team offensively, at the rate that it's going, and when I want to make some comparisons, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm going to bring up a graphic, and I want everybody that's listening right now to pay close attention to this because it's going to make you think. And for the Lions fans out there that are still kind of same old Lion and their way around everything and they're on the fence, they still don't feel a reason to fully get behind this team and this regime and what they do. I want to show you something. This is the 2024 Detroit Lions through first 10 games of the season compared to the 2009 New Orleans Saints and the 1999 St. Louis Rams. And of course, everybody out there knows that Saints team and that Rams team went on to win it all. Detroit through first 10 games, 9-1, Saints 10-0, Rams 8-2. We compare the offenses. All 3 teams first in the league in offense. Now, 2009 Saints, 1999 Rams. This is the stat lines that their teams finished with overall. By the end of the season, this is currently where our Detroit Lions are sitting right now. So across the board, offense, first. Rushing yards, Detroit 3rd, Saints 6th, St. Louis Rams 5th. Rushing touchdowns, Detroit 2nd, Saints 3rd, Rams 10th. Passing yards, Lions 6th, Saints 4th, Rams 1st. Passing touchdowns, Lions 4th, Saints 1st, Rams 1st. Close enough. You go to the defense. Overall defense, Lions 5th, Saints were 20th, Rams were 4th. Takeaways, Lions are currently 3rd, the Saints finished 2nd, the Rams finished 6th. Interceptions, Lions 2nd, Saints 3rd, Rams 2nd. Passing yards given up, Lions 27th, Saints 26th, Rams 6th. Passing touchdowns, Lions 1st, Saints 5th, Rams 7th. I say all that to say this. At the end of the day, I think there's a very simple recipe that this team, this organization follows to get those games going. You got to remember where the head coach came from, New Orleans Saints. Defensive coordinator came from New Orleans Saints. And the GM came from LA Rams. Not the St. Louis Rams, but the LA Rams. If you make sure, and I'm going to make sure I put this good, you score points And this may be too simple for some people. You run the football, you get timely passing. Everything doesn't have to be explosive. If you look at how Drew Brees got his numbers and how Kurt Warner got his numbers within those two different offenses compared to what Ben Johnson and Jared Goff do here, the numbers at the end of the day will always even out. The rushing attack is there. The takeaways are there. The opportunistic defense is there. The interceptions are there. The ability to beat you in a multitude of ways is there. This team right now is currently the best football team in the league. You can watch the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs are the most battle-tested team in the league. They've got the championships. They've got the quarterback. They've got the head coach with the cachet. He's been to multiple Super Bowls, even with Philadelphia Eagles. He's won 3 with Patrick Mahomes. Anybody can be beat. The Chiefs have been beaten by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This team is built and equipped to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. This team is built and equipped to beat the Baltimore Ravens this season. Maybe not last year's Ravens, but definitely they're equipped to beat this version of the Baltimore Ravens this season. Now, I want to get to a couple comments. Got Mile Marker, sorry about that. 301. I was glad Coach Campbell threw that challenge flag, no matter the score. Definitely. When you got them down, you got to step on them. Because at the end of the day, you don't want them to get any confidence. You don't want your defense to start giving up unnecessary points, unnecessary drives. The longer you stay out on the field, the higher the chance of injury. So, yeah, they wanted to make sure that they didn't allow Jacksonville to get any life. And then if you look at that final drive before Jared Goff came out, heading into the fourth quarter, because that final drive of the third quarter bled over to the beginning of the fourth quarter, we knew they were going to score on that final drive, and then that was going to be it for Jared, and we will see Hendon Hooker. Also, Mile Marker 301 says, going to stretch out, but still listening. Really enjoy your analysis. Man, I really appreciate it, brother. It's a lot more difficult doing these shows by yourself because, you're dealing with the mouse over here in the right hand. You're trying to go through all the comments and go through your notes and make sure volume levels are right and the camera's still going good, but trying my best. Matter of fact, I'm going to get a quick swig of water for y'all. All right. Didn't want to be rude. Now, with that being said, I want to get y'all opinions on some things because I want to go to the schedule for a second, looking at what we have coming up. All right, so November 24th, we at Indianapolis. It's a 1:00 game. Come back, of course, Thanksgiving. Everybody's going to be watching. We host the Bears, 12:30. Turn around December 5th. Game against Green Bay, home game. Going to love that. 8:15. How do you guys feel about how those times are staggered? Personally, I like the way it's lined up if it was 3 1:00 games, but you're talking about the 1:00 to 12:30 to 8:15 p.m. Doesn't really matter for this team. Maybe not, considering the fact that they bucked their nose at pretty much every obstacle schedule-wise that's been put in front of them so far. Because I know most of us believed at the beginning of the season, we complained that the bye was too early. And I was one of those people that felt like the bye was too early until I started combing through the schedule. Then I realized, okay, you know what? Every team in the league, every fan base in the league probably feels right now at that point in time during the off season when the schedule was released, the league screwed us. But when you looked at it for what it was, yeah, we had a bye crazy mad early. But at the end of the day, look how they looked out for us towards the end of the schedule. We got a good 6 weeks of not having to go past Indiana. We got a game at the Bears, and we got a game at California. Yeah, we got to fly out to California and got to go across the West Coast to San Francisco, but that's week 17. So, granted, is it ideal to really want to have your bye that damn early in the season? No, it's not. It's not. But, at the end of the day, man, it's going to work out for us. We are proven over the long haul to be a very thorough team. And like I said, every obstacle that's been put in front of us, we did it. We wasn't supposed to beat Minnesota. They was favored. Went there, beat them. We was supposed to lose at Green Bay because Jordan Love was back and he was going to be bombs away, and we're not really for real. We handled that. We wasn't supposed to beat Seattle. Seattle was the bully. They was the monkey on our back. We handled them. We were supposed to go out to the desert and lose out in the desert because funny things happen when you go play at Arizona. We beat them. We wasn't supposed to beat the Rams. Remember, the Rams was supposed to go out and be out for revenge and get us week 1. It took overtime, but we clipped the Rams. There's just something different, man, about this team right now. And I didn't want to sound like a homer during the offseason. And also, I just didn't believe. I just felt that when you looked at the quality of the schedule, because let's get one thing clear. We beat some bad teams, but we beat some pretty good football teams too. Problem is everybody's injured. And that's why the whole we're injured issue or excuse any other fan base is using right now can't use it. Lions had a ton of injuries. Cowboys, ton of injuries. 49ers, ton of injuries. Eagles, injuries. Everybody's dealing with injuries. Everybody's playing the same 17-game season. Primetime games. 4 o'clock kickoffs. 1 o'clock kickoffs. 9:30 across the water. Everybody's dealing with the same exact obstacles. So with that being said, the whole we're dealing with injuries excuse can't fly in the NFL anymore. And everybody gets the same bye, and nobody gets to. So it's all about whether or not your team is physically built for this, mentally built for this, and depth-wise built for this. And this team has proven, man, like I said, 31-9 over the last 40 games. Being honest about it, some people thought we peaked early. You're talking about Dan Campbell and this team being bad for a year and a half. Second half of year 2, they've been kicking ass ever since. So I want to get into a couple things about the schedule before we do get out of here because we don't need too much from me. Here we go. And I want everybody to comment in the comment section about this. I want y'all to talk with me about this. Out of this Bills game, 49ers game, Vikings game, because I think most people believe we're going to beat the Colts. Most people believe the current state of the Chicago Bears, we're going to beat the Chicago Bears twice. And a lot of people still give the San Francisco 49ers a lot of respect because, they are the San Francisco 49ers, but it's also been a changing of the guard. So is it possible for this Detroit Lions team to go to California and bomb the 49ers? It's very well possible. I look at the rest of the schedule and I honestly think that the Buffalo Bills are the one team that poses the biggest threat. And right now, I don't see how matchup-wise they'll fare either. Just looking at for what's going on, if they've got the receiving core together, maybe, you got Amari Cooper out there. He's the route king. Keon Coleman, he's the young, athletic, big guy that can jump over everybody. They've got some guys out there. Shakir, one of the most underrated young wide receivers in the league right now out of Boise State. He was a guy coming out of college that the league just got wrong on. And he's like pretty much their Amon-Ra St. Brown. So, and then of course, Josh Allen, he's the mutant out there. That's what I call him. He can do everything out there. We saw his ability to go out there and put Buffalo on his back like he's done for years and finally get them that win. Not even really to say finally, because like I said, they have beaten the Kansas City Chiefs in the regular season. They've had success. Their issue has been the playoffs, but like I said, Josh Allen continues to prove, man, that he's one of those dudes in the league that has the ability to put his team on his back and win them a game. So is it possible they can come here and they can have a good game and do it? It's possible. I wouldn't say it's likely right now. I just think this Detroit Lions team, man, they're red hot. They got a certain glow about them. And for those who didn't see the graphic that I did post earlier in the video, I just want to repost it just so all you guys and ladies listening can get a firm grasp of what I'm talking about. If you're comparing this 2024 Detroit Lions team to greatness, they measure up very, very well with the 2009 New Orleans Saints and the 1999 St. Louis Rams. Funny thing about all three of these teams, at least the two that won the Super Bowl, Drew Brees and Kurt Warner both won their first Super Bowls with their second team. Drew Brees was a castaway. We all know Chargers didn't want him anymore. They had drafted Phillip Rivers the year before. It was time to move on. The writing was on the wall. Trent Green was supposed to be the starter for the Rams. He got hurt in preseason. Kurt Warner was on practice squad, I know, with the Green Bay Packers. Ended up going to the Rams. Rest is history. Jared Goff was a castaway from that same Rams organization. Traded away to Detroit Lions on his second team right now. Looking like he may lead the Detroit Lions to the Super Bowl. Just want people to understand, man. The confidence I have in this team isn't just based on being a homer, a pie in the sky. We got this no matter what faith. I have a whole lot of important data behind this team. I watched this team repeatedly, game after game. I watched the same game multiple times. I watched the film. I watched the All 22. I look at their draft history, their habits. This team, culture-wise, is built in their own way. Not saying that they're the 2009 Saints or exactly the 1999 Rams, but you can see the numbers on the board. Offensively as well as defensively, they're damn near identical to both of those teams. They just get it done in different ways. But the common denominator is all three of these teams, they ran the football well. They were number one in offense overall, mainly because they ran the ball so damn well. And they could also throw the ball. Of course, there was a bunch of wide receivers all over the field with all three of those teams. But the takeaways, granted, yeah, were the Saints overall 20th in defense? Yeah, they were. Did they give up a bunch of passing yards that year? 26? Yeah, they did. Do the Pistons, not the Pistons. Oh, man, I'm thinking about my Pistons looking at something over here on the other screen. But, yeah, are the Lions giving up a bunch of passing yards? Yeah, they are. They're 27th in the league. But at the end of the day, they take the ball away. They kill drives. They extend their own drives with the run game. They're efficient on third down. The red zone offense is dynamite. And outside of that Houston, Texas game from a Sunday ago, they take damn good care of the football. So, I want to get to the chats. What's going on, man? Everybody's showing us love over here. What's all going on, Daryl Simpson? Says, make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, support my guy Walter Stringer. Man, I very, very much appreciate it, bro. Got to get you back on the show for real. You was on last year. Bobby Drake, what's going on, fellas? What's going on? Darcy back. Darcy says, I see us being Super Bowl champions for 3 years. I ain't gonna go that far. Things happen on a year-to-year basis, but I definitely believe this team has as good a shot as anybody to beat anybody from the NFC as well as the AFC right now. Darcy, what's going on? More comments says, Walter Stringer, who you got for a final in New Orleans? Pittsburgh Steelers versus our Lions? No. That's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. As much as I do like the Steelers, things are just kind of stale there. If you look at the offensive line play, is still inconsistent. This whole Justin Fields, Russell Wilson thing they got going on, and Najee Harris still not really, is it Najee Harris? Yeah, Najee Harris. The running back still not completely getting on track, and Pickens kind of being his own loose cannon, doing his own thing out there. The inconsistency on offense, I think, is what's going to eventually do them in. Beating Buffalo in the playoffs, you're going to have to score points. I don't think they'll be able to do it in the playoffs. They've proven in a matchup against Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens, divisional opponent. Can they beat them in the playoffs? Sure, that can happen. Can they beat the Bengals in the playoffs? Sure, that can happen. Bengals are kind of on the outside looking in right now. Pittsburgh, do they have enough juice to beat Kansas City? Not sure about that either. Haven't been able to do it. Chargers are kind of competing right there. Is that a team they could do it against? Maybe. So it's, what it all comes down to is matchups, man, in the playoffs. You don't have to beat Kansas City if you don't see them. It's not guaranteed that Kansas City is going to get there. It's not guaranteed Detroit is going to get there on the NFC side. We just believe that from what we've seen overall, even though the Chiefs haven't played the best brand of football offensively as well as defensively, they've still played well enough to win those close games in dirt time. They got that grit in their own fashion. Not to say they, because that phrase is getting overused a lot here, but they got the grit of a champion, man. They can win the 17-9 game. What's being questioned about the Chiefs right now, especially in comparisons to them potentially having to see us in the Super Bowl, possibly, nobody's really jumped on them like that, you know. And that was a question a lot of people had about our Detroit Lions before the Houston game. We had been blowing everybody out, but if you went back to last year against Baltimore, they jumped on us and we couldn't really come back. Seattle jumped on us last year early, and it was an uphill battle for the next 3 quarters, never being able to really take the lead. We were able to withstand Houston jumping on us 23-7, came back, won that game. I think that proved a lot to people. What if we jump on the Chiefs? What if the Lions are like that buzzsaw and we jump on them and it becomes a 27-10 game? They haven't really shown this season. Honestly, they haven't shown the last 2 seasons. They just happen to win the Super Bowls, but they haven't really shown the last 2 seasons that they can really do it in the shootout. Now, they did win a high-scoring game in the Super Bowl against the Eagles, and that was mainly because they were able to the Chiefs' defense was able to neutralize that Eagles rushing attack, was able, oddly enough, Jalen Hurts, without that consistent rushing attack, was able to really break free on his own, contain a lot, and make plays down the field. But offensively, man, the Chiefs haven't really looked good since that Super Bowl win against the Eagles. We're being honest about it. I think they're really winning games off of pedigree. The defense is damn good still. And, the offensive coordinator, the head coach, top 2, top 3 of all time, I believe in Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't make the key mistakes in the playoffs. And, I just think right now we're too explosive for a lot of teams. It's going to take a certain type of effort to beat us. Just like it probably will take a certain type of effort to beat the Chiefs come playoff time. But I do believe we are equipped to do it. Let's go through some more of these questions with some of these comments. Darcy says 35-26 Lions. Oh, so you serious, Darcy? You serious about the Lions and Steelers in the Super Bowl? Got that. What up, Ralphie? Ralphie says Pittsburgh is tough. Of course, man. We all know. We all know. Bobby Drake, what's going on, says, is the criticism that Goff not being an elite quarterback a legit hindrance on them winning the Super Bowl? I don't believe so. I think since he's been here in Detroit, he's done outside of year one when he pretty much had nothing support-wise except for I will say this. He had Frank Ragnow. He inherited Frank Ragnow. He inherited Taylor Decker. They drafted Penei Sewell that year in April. They also drafted St. Brown. Nobody knew Amon-Ra St. Brown was going to turn out to be what he turned out to be. So he's had some decent little building blocks. He didn't really have much else offensively outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown. Did have Jamal Williams, but wasn't much else really going on. But I don't think it's a hindrance anymore. I mean, listen, he's been to a Super Bowl with the Rams. He's been to an NFC champion. He's been to multiple NFC championships. He's won multiple playoff games. He played well in the playoffs for us last year in both of those games. He played well against the 49ers. And if we keeping it a buck, there's 3 plays that really changed the fourth quarter of that game and tilted it in Frisco's favor. If Vildor makes that interception and we go on to the Super Bowl and we beat the Chiefs or we lose the Chiefs, whatever it may be, do we view Jared Goff differently? If Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't fumble that ball, do we view things differently? St. Brown had a drop. I mean, there were some things that happened in that game where I think he's elite. He's proven it now. Now you can make the argument he doesn't have the elite physical traits, the tools, but if you're talking about playing the quarterback position, the best in the league right now is him. Is him and Josh Allen for the most part. So I think this whole thing about him hindering the team or him not being a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, he's winning. Everywhere he's been, he transformed that program. He did it in Cal when he was in college. He did it with the Rams once they got Jeff Fisher out of the building and they got McVay, and then things started to turn around. He did it here. So I don't see any reason to believe that he can't do it. If he played bad against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, I think I would feel differently. But he played well. There were just some things around him that didn't go his way. And I think as fans, people in the media as well, we have to stop hanging, living and dying when it comes to the quarterback position on the result. Quarterback plays great. Quarterback plays well. Two or three bad plays happen around him. The team loses the game and we say it's him. Or he can't win the big one. Like I said, St. Brown catches that ball on third down. Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't fumble. Vildor makes that interception. You could argue the Lions win that game, and maybe we view Jared Goff completely differently if they go on to the Super Bowl and actually beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's get some more comments, man. Y'all here. Joseph Osteen, what's going on, man? The Chiefs are a great situation. Yeah, Chiefs are great at situational football. That's true. That's true. That's true. And I think that will be a great matchup, man. You talking about Andy Reid against AG and our defense, our healthy defense, a secondary full with Melifonwu and potentially Emmanuel Mosley. You're talking about Ben Johnson versus Spagnolia. That could be it right there too. Antoine, what's going on? I think he's replying to Tristan, who we also call Gutter. I don't believe so, Gutter. You can be a contender without having a high-profile quarterback. That's true. That's definitely true. Joseph Osteen also says Lions have been winning since the Hawk trade. Amon-Ra was the first option. Then shit got real. Yeah, it did. But y'all, man, go back to year one with St. Brown and Breshad Perriman and Tyrell Williams. Yeah, y'all remember that. Y'all remember that, man. And there was a 5'10 and a half, 5'11" wide receiver. Because that's what I think St. Brown honestly is. There's no slight to him, man. Maybe he is 6 foot. For the sake of it, I'm gonna call him 6 foot. There was this 6 foot, 190-pound wide receiver out of USC that everybody thought was just a typical finesse, soft, non-physical USC wide receiver. You're looking at Mike Williams, all the busts that went through there, the Mike Williams, the Dwayne Jarretts, the Kerry Colberts, the RJ Sowards, the Kareem Kellys, the Marquise Lees. Like, they had a lot of wide receivers out of USC that got to the league and just did not work out. And I think that was a built-in negative St. Brown had working against him coming out. Then the 40 time. Think about it, man. We got 3 All-Pros on this team. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Kirby Joseph, and Brian Branch. All 3 of those dudes ran sub 4.5 40s. All 3 of those dudes slipped in the draft because of it. And all 3 of those dudes we drafted after the second round. We've potentially, also Aleem McNeil, 3rd round pick. Even though I'm not sure if Aleem McNeil will make all pro, I'm pretty sure the other 3 will. Well, the league may not give both safeties the nod just because they don't want to do it. So more than likely either Brian Branch or Kirby Joseph, not both of them, will get the all pro nod. But at the end of the day, we got 3 guys drafted after the 3rd round playing at all pro levels. Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, and then of course Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's tremendous drafting. And I think that's for me, that was the huge reason why when the Hutch injury came up, and everybody was losing their minds and blowing the gasket about we got to go out and trade for somebody. We got to get this guy. We got to get that guy. We got to get Max Crosby. We got to call Cleveland about Miles Garrett. We got to call Cincinnati about Trey Hendrickson. I'm willing to give up 2 picks, 2 first round picks, 3 first round picks. The most ridiculous idea I heard was 4 first round picks from my radio station here. Why would you do that? With a team that has some of their best young talent coming up contractually in Kirby Joseph, Brian Branch, Aiden Hutchinson, guys you're going to have to pay, guys who are overperform their contracts, outperform their draft position. These are guys that you want to keep. Because make no mistake about it, Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch, you're going to keep both of them once. Seattle did it once with Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas. You can't afford to keep 2 elite safeties twice. So you're going to be able to keep those dudes once at least, probably well into their late 20s for the most part, age-wise. But you want to make sure you don't bleed the stock dry. Can't do that. You can't bleed the stock dry, man. And I kind of laughed. I ain't gonna say I laughed at it. I kind of looked at it awkward at first in the very beginning, seeing how stubborn Brad Holmes was in regards to how they wanted to build this team overall and what the philosophy was, and being very, very selective in regards to who they brought into this organization, locker room wise. But now I get it. And I'm gonna get back into that with a second, because now we do have Ashanti joining us. Cut your volume up. Put your volume up. Now I can use this. I can't hear you. So while he's fixing that, want to get back into I'm gonna go ahead and skip forward, man. I ain't want to get to rambling too much. We did start talking about the Kansas City Chiefs and potential Super Bowl matchups and everything, whatnot. But we do have the Indianapolis Colts coming up, and I do think that is it a very winnable game for the Colts? No, not at all. But I will say this: the Colts have a tendency to play teams very, very tough in that building in Lucas Oil. Tough defense. They run the ball well when they dedicate themselves to doing it. Anthony Richardson, he's always a rushing threat. He's a bigger rushing threat at this stage in his career than he is a passing threat. But I will say, after being set down, after the I'm tired gate came about, he seemed to be a different guy. He seemed to be a little bit more confident. He seemed to play with a little bit more rhythm yesterday against the Jets. And I'm glad that he went out there. He threw for 272. He ran for some good yards. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He threw for another. And they got a good win. You know, it's good to see him have some success. But do I expect Anthony Richardson and that Colts offense to be any legitimate threat for our defense? Nah, I really don't. The Colts are a decent football team in the AFC South, but I think that's kind of where it stops. I don't think they have what it takes to beat us either. This is a team that struggles throwing the football, and they don't want to dedicate themselves to running the football. You know, it's a situation where they want to be a pass first team, but you have run first parts. Your offensive line is run first. Your running back, Jonathan Taylor, is a very good running back. And you did invest a top 5 pick in Anthony Richardson. You want him to develop, but he's struggling to develop. So it's a lot of wild things going on with them right now, going back and forth between him and Joe Flacco, who's not the long-term answer there either. And want to get to some more comments. Got Antoine Williams says you have to build the roster, which we have done. Yeah. Whole thing is it's hard. What's up, Lamar Horton? It's hard getting sports fans, not just football fans, but sports fans in general, to be patient. You got to remember, man, this team started 1-6 year two. And that was a tough time, man. There were members of the media, members of the fan base, members of the Lions content creating family who were calling for this man's job. What if they would have fired Dan Campbell at 1-6? Where the hell would we be right now? Gotta have patience, man. Gotta have patience. We look at last season. We were a winning team heading into the trade deadline. Fans were just all upset because we didn't trade for Chase Young. We didn't trade for Montez Sweat, which I wouldn't have minded Montez Sweat at all. Didn't trade for him, though. At the end of the day, we still better than the Bears, and we're still kicking ass. Bears not. But we are still there, and like I said, man, it's for a team that's 31-9 over their last 40. That's not a fluke. For a team that goes on the road and has a business-like mentality in regards to wherever they play at, doesn't happen that often, man. People are worried about the Bears because of what happened last year. The miracle in the last four, with the last 2-3 minutes of the game, which we was at. People are worried about the Bears because of that. People are worried about the Bears because of what they did to us in the next game. That's not happening this year. The Bears got their own issues going on, man. Joseph Osteen also says Taylor is badass. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Sheila told everybody to shut up. Yes, she did. Yes, she did. But yeah, it's like I said, it's gonna be tough sledding, I think, for the Colts, man. That Texans game last Sunday, that was the worst, I think. And the defense didn't even play poorly. The offense just had some bad situations happen. But overall, it was a weird performance. Do I envision this offense or defense having another performance that strange the rest of the season? Nah, not at all. Don't expect it. And I told Ashanti this 3 weeks ago. We were going to have a weird performance. Didn't know what was going to happen against the Texans. But I knew we were going to have a strange performance. And my question was, within that strange performance, would we still find a way to pull the W out? And they did it. It's a wrap now. This team not having another performance like that. If a team beats us, it's going to be straight up. If Buffalo comes here in 3 weeks and beats us straight up, the hell with it, it happens. If we go to Indianapolis and we find ourselves pulled into a 17-15 game against the Colts, mid fourth quarter, it happens. Is it likely? No. But it does happen. No one envisioned that Houston Texan game a couple weeks ago going the way it went. But it happens. Darcy says, you are special. I hope you mean that in a flattering way. I know I'm just messing with you, Darcy, messing with you. But yeah, I just love talking about the Lions with you guys, man, and gals out there for that matter. And like I said, it's a shame Ashanti couldn't join us tonight because I think we would have had fun breaking this entire game down. Even though in wins like this, 52-6 doesn't happen in the NFL that often. When it does, is kind of shocking. Usually when it's a 52-6 game, the team that lost 52-6 is a bad team. And Denver, Denver gave up 70 to Miami last year, and Denver was bad last year. Well, Denver was bad the first half of last year. They decided to turn it on late, and things did work out for them. They ended up getting what's the man name? Bo Nix. About to say Bo Callahan. Bo Nix from the University of Oregon via Auburn. But like I said, man, it's this is a team, man, that's scorching hot right now. And for the most part, if you're a team that's going to beat this team, you're going to have to be able to match the physicality. You're going to have to dedicate yourself to stopping the run. I think it's going to be a team that runs a 4-3. It's going to be tough for any team that runs a lot of 3-4 to play against us, to man up against us. We run a lot of gap scheme, a lot of duo. We love putting two hats on those big fellas in the middle. We love getting our guys out there in space, getting them to the second level, especially Panay Sewell, who's one of the most athletic tackles in all of football. So is Taylor Decker, even though Taylor's a little bit older now, but Taylor's still good. You know, Taylor's just at a point in time in his career where he's a little bit nicked up. But overall, Taylor's still a good player, man. Let's see. We got Ashanti this time. You here? I can hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me? Still can't hear me? Let's go back to the chat. Joseph. Thanks, Walter. Appreciate your football acumen. Man, I try, man. I'm the wrong person to give a microphone and nobody with me because I talk all damn day about football. Y'all know it, especially these Detroit Lions. But we do have, I think we touched on it.
Testing.
I can hear you. Can you hear me? Still can't hear you.
Test.
Make sure I ain't got you muted. Nope, I ain't got you muted. But yeah, this is a team that despite all the success they're currently having, the draft matters to everybody. Every fan base, all 32 organizations in the league right now. Despite the fact this team is 9-1, you can bet your damn last $2. Brad Holmes is prepared. They probably got their big board of 50 players right now that they've been looking at. They've been scouting for the last 2 years, last 3 years for that matter. And starting the week of oh, you can hear me now. Oh, you can't hear me. Starting the week of Thanksgiving, we're gonna jump into the NFL draft a little bit. We're gonna go through, and I'm just going back over this for everybody who didn't see the show Saturday morning. We're going to jump back into a little bit about the hold on one second. Bring another link up. Yeah, we're gonna jump into the salary cap, also 2005 free agency, who we got coming up, who is gonna be paid, who is gonna be priced out, who we can afford to replace. Do we replace this guy with two players? Do we replace him at all? Also, we're gonna get into the 5 most pressing needs, even though typically a team that's 9-1 at this point in stage in the league in the season doesn't have any pressing needs. Detroit doesn't have any pressing needs, but they do need to build some long-term depth. And by long-term depth, I'm talking about years 6, 7, 8 of the rebuild. You know, first 4 drafts have been pretty successful. Jury's still out on this 2024 draft with Terrion Arnold being the best rookie that have been out there so far, kind of by default. Nobody else has really played that much. But like I said, year 5, year 6, year 7, especially year 5, you're talking about this being the draft where, okay, by year 6, who are we looking at we don't want to give that next deal to? Can we move on from this guy because we got 3 guys in the stable right now that can jump in and actually take on things and move forward? Can you hear me now? Still can't hear me. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I'm going to throw a couple more graphics back up there for everybody who didn't see it. For a couple of things we did run through. Going inside the numbers, Lions covering that spread, blowing that spread out of the water. Damn near covering. Well, they damn near. They covered the over-under by themselves at 52 points. And then you look at those stats right there for Jacksonville, stats for the Detroit Lions. Point directly towards why one team won and one team lost. Plain and simple. Also did make the comparison of our 2024 Detroit Lions in comparison to the 2009 in 1999, New Orleans Saints, as well as St. Louis Rams, respectively. Saints started that year 10-0. Rams started that season 8-2. And you're looking at the statistical comparisons between all three teams is dangerously close. Just wanted to make that comparison because, like I said, both those other teams went on to become Super Bowl champions. And all of us out here in Lions Nation, we do hope that our Lions do the same over the long run. It's a shame couldn't get Ashanti on here tonight. The audio wasn't going. He did join us late, but we're going to go ahead and wrap this show up. Till next time, one pride.